and welcome to the I Shall Live Show. Yes, a show where we interview stellar individuals whose work and legacy has profoundly uplifted our community for the better. Each week, we interview a new guest and we take a deeper dive into the work that they're doing in their lives, sharing ideas and experience collectively. You see here at I Shall Bloom, you shall bloom, and we shall bloom. Today, I have, yes, yes, the here he
Cosmic
is.
Clarity Connections.
Yes.
Cosmic Clarity Connections and
No,
MindNexusLive.com is our brand.
Yes, well, I have Mr. Jesse Beltran here. He is going to speak with us and answer our questions. And so without further ado, come on in, Mr. Jesse Beltran.
You're too kind. Gosh, look at the energy. I love it.
Yeah, even though getting beat down with the things right now, but that's okay. I still stand. Yes.
Good for you. God bless you.
To God be the glory. Yes.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. You are cutting out though. It is hard to hear you for some reason. In fact, you're.
Can you hear me? The floor. And if you can tell, I know that you are a certified master hypnotist and you are the president of your company. Let me read it right again. I like to have notes. Okay. You're a leading expert in the field of frequency implant technology and Havana Syndrome. You currently serve as the president of Mind Nexus, where you spearhead transformative seminars that bring, I can't even read my writing, but bridge the gap between science, space, and spirituality. So with that saying, welcome you to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
So what would you like to talk about today?
Oh my God. Well, my nose is running. It's Texas got cold all of a sudden. We got 32. We're gonna have 31 degrees and stuff like that. So we had 73s with the breeze a couple of days ago, and now we got 33s with the real breeze and a breeze. So I'm like, oh, Basil. But anyway, I like to talk about. I have a lot of questions that's going to be asked about the different types of scans. I wrote first thing, what is a frequency? I know there's sound and there's wave. How does that relate to us in our targeting in the trying to locate implants?
Okay, so we need to be really careful about how we approach this and what we say. So in its infancy in 2009, 2010, Dr. John Hall was seeing individuals who were having these anomalous complaints. Sure. One of them being that unusual sounds, almost like a frequency that they were hearing, and it caused some debilitating symptoms. A lot of them talked about migraine, sharp pains to the extremity, short-term, long-term memory loss, vertigo, nausea, vomiting. And this sound and these symptoms, they had difficulty in getting away from it. So Dr. Hall concluded that if this was not a delusional disorder or psychosis or mass hysteria phenomenon, that we should be able to utilize equipment that is designed to detect these frequency emissions. And what he did is he basically implemented what a very famous private investigator by the name of Melinda Kidder was using, her process, in which she used a frequency detector followed up by an Asseco frequency reader. And what was unusual is this Dr. Hall was legitimately finding positive frequency detections around the human person at very specific focal areas. And when I say very specific, if you ran it across the human body, it wasn't like where it was lighting up was very random. For example, the right or left shoulder, very consistent. And other areas around the body, and I kind of am reserved in disclosing that because we're about to enter into a huge scanning campaign, and we don't want to seed any of that information because we want to go in blind. We don't want to know anything about any specific part of the body where someone is having some anomaly. And the reason that is because when in the beginning, when we started to disclose that, we noticed that people who truly were not suffering from this phenomenon, we're hearing were others who did come up positive and were suffering from this phenomenon, were mimicking. And so in order to alleviate that, we basically kept that information private for the individual who was taking the scan themselves. And it was up to them if they wanted to disclose that. But it's a way for us to keep a certain standard in where we could not be accused of feeding this idea or these areas into an individual who was being tested. So nonetheless, so basically, what the RF detector reads a specific spectrum between 1 megahertz and 6 gigahertz. And what this does, it has a special wand that will, depending on the length of the wand, and I try to keep this in layman's terms so everyone can understand, very low transmissions or amplitude dBs, you would extend it and that would detect low frequency spectrum. And then if you had it at a specific, and there's mathematics involved, at a specific length in the medium range, you can detect that medium frequency spectrum. And then when you wanted to test for the higher gigahertz range, you would retract the wand completely and it would detect frequency spectrums in the higher range up to 6 gigahertz. And what we would do is after we do 6 passes, both front and back, testing for these specific bands, we would follow up by tagging those areas that came up positive. And then we would take, as Melinda Kidder did, take the frequency reader at those very specific areas, and we would test for what numerical frequency readings we were getting. In addition to the frequency reading, it does possess the ability to give you the signal strength or bar strength. And that's essentially what we do. And without people knowing, what we do is we do have a spectrum analyzer running in the background. So we already know what frequency spectrums are already innate to that area before anyone even is tested. And interestingly enough, when they walk into the environment, we're also recording that and documenting that. This is something that we have strategically kept because once someone comes up positive in this particular scan, then we make recommendations based on our findings to do an additional scan, which is the nonlinear junction scan. So a nonlinear junction scan is a little bit different. Now, what it's testing for is ferrous. Are you there?
Say what?
Oh, you guys, please mute. We can hear you on the iPhone. Can you mute, please?
Sorry.
That's
So what
okay.
it's testing for is ferrous material or materials that are associated with electronic devices. Now, when we're testing for active frequencies, frequencies that are there in that environment around a person during that scanning. So that means it's on 24/7, 357 days a year, throughout the year. And then what the nonlinear junction scan will do, it will test, it'll send out a harmonic frequency to see if there's any of this ferrous material around the person or in the person. And then secondarily, if it does get a positive reading for ferrous material, it'll send out a second harmonic that will activate it. And interestingly enough, back in the early days, a gentleman by the name of William Pollock had met a gentleman who was a physicist engineer who had figured out that you can send these harmonics to electronics and activate them. And initially, this device was designed to find rust in airplanes. It wasn't originally designed to find the types of things that we're looking for today. But it had proliferated and grown. They figured out, oh wow, this can turn on these electronics, particularly listening devices that you weren't aware were in your environment. And so that's how it expounded into where it is today, and basically surveillance detection equipment. It's a little bit more sophisticated. But we specifically do this for two reasons. If you get two independent testers utilizing similar but dissimilar technology, and you get the same type of results, then you have something that's more tangible, something that's weightable, something that can be determined to be as evidence. That's the first part. Now, it's important that the community understands you cannot say that you're implanted just because you came up positive in an RF scan or a preliminary junction scan. Okay. And that unfortunately is the misnomer that is being put out into the community. When I say this community, we're talking about the TI community.
Yeah.
Most generally, like I said, we recently started reaching out because everyone kept saying, please come back. Our focus with Cosmic Clarity Connection and the Mind Nexus Live brand was specifically to get people who were outside of the targeted community. And the reason being is because over the last couple of decades, it has been very difficult to infiltrate the general population in where they would not have these preconceived ideas or these stereotypes about the targeted community. They were always labeled as tinfoil hat people, 5150s, basically accusing the entire community of having a mental health disorder. Now, that's not to say that that doesn't happen. It does. But for the most part, in this community, most people are truthful. And then I think there's a small segment which completely believes that they're going through this, but they present in a very atypical presentation. And for those who present in the atypical presentation, we're just not finding any positive results. And we approach each person and we'll do an interview. And our interviews are very open-ended, and it's by design. And the reason is those who are truly being affected by this will always say the same thing. They cannot make these things up. And they're very specific to physiological experiences that they are having. And someone who is not truly part of this will have a very difficult time in identifying that. And that's part of the criteria when we do these and why we do these surveys, and when we're doing these testing clinics. And most importantly, although the story is important, what is not as important as where these physiological ailments are happening. And in the survey, we have them mark where they feel that they're having an issue. And about 95 to 100% of the time, we will be right on the mark, and we go in blindly. That's why I say, I don't want to know anything, because over and over and over again, you have to explain why is it then that so many people who are having this phenomena only come up in specific focal areas around the human person. And ultimately, what we want to do is to conclude when someone is having, when we can truly say that the emission is coming from the human body, we want to be in a controlled environment that blocks out these frequency spectrums that we already know exist. We've been doing this for a long time. And so we can already tell just by the patterning, whether it's someone who is your typical AHI or Havana Syndrome victim, whether they've been in prior military or whether they've been incarcerated, just by the findings on the scans. And that's where we are today.
Thank you. That
I didn't talk about, I could have sort of cut that short. Let me expound on that a little bit. So after we go through this testing process, and then we can conclude that for whatever reason there's an emission, then we recommend getting, well, we coach you. We don't practice medicine. All we're talking about is the technology that this equipment is designed to do. Then we will coach you on what other cases in which they came up positive and ultimately had implants removed or biosensors removed. We'll coach you on what they did and what you might want to do, because we don't practice medicine. And what we'll say is what they have done is they have gone and obtained toxicology reports to test for levels of metal within your physiology, biochemically. And then we will say that and coach you on the types of medical imagery that those individuals had obtained in order to prove that there was, and again here, a foreign body or unidentified, they call them UBOs, unidentified bright object within those medical images. And then you have supporting documentation by the reading radiologist that has participated in those studies. Once you get to that point, that's when you're pretty much on your way to home base. And that's because now you can confidently go in front of a medical professional, particularly a surgeon, depending on where you're trying to obtain these foreign bodies from. Sometimes you need a neurologist, sometimes you need an ENT, sometimes you just use a general surgeon. But that is the algorithm, and this is very important that everyone understands this, because it's a big jump. It's a big jump from saying, oh, I came up positive in an RF scan and a nonlinear junction scan, therefore I'm implanted. That is premature. You're doing yourself a disservice, and ultimately you're hurting the entire community. And this is why we're out to educate not only the community and saying, hey, look, you've heard the podcast. Yes, there's a lot of naysayers that'll sling mud, but you can't deny the actual victims who come forward and say, look, what they're doing makes good common sense. And this is what we did. And this is how we got to the point where we are today. And that's what our mission is to help the TI community in this fashion to understand. And then there's a way to engage the medical community and how you talk to them after you have this evidence. Now, with the general population, it's been a much easier ride, and we have been so successful and so prolific in sending out the message because it's awakening them, and they're saying, oh my, you know what? After COVID, we really don't trust our government. We don't trust the medical community. We feel like we've been misled. And a lot of the globe is starting to come to that conclusion now. And I think the timing's right. The wave is right that we all need to get on that surfboard. We need to hold hands together, and we need to let it take us home onto that nice sunny beach. And we need to move forward, and we need to make progress. And that's what we're about.
Yes, that's great. So I just took some notes. So you're saying once we get the scan, you do you suggest that we go get a toxicology report to show the metal types of medical imagery that show a foreign body or the unidentified right object.
I know you. Yeah, this is some other people I'm sending.
I can hear it. Oh, is that
Mute, right? Yeah, let me put on. Yeah.
Oh, did you want to say something? Because I know that you have a scan you can actually kind of speak about your skin.
Yeah, my scan that I had was not by Jesse. I want Jesse to do me as well.
Yeah.
But when they found the one that was in the back of my head, see, I
I don't
had
want to
both.
know. I don't want to
Right,
know.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I don't want to know if you're going to be getting scanned by me. I really.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
So
I
yeah,
would just say
I'll
I
wait
came
and
up
we'll go over
positive
that.
in certain
Yeah.
areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Jesse, that I had a big interest in. Have you dealt with a lot of people that have detached retinas in both their eyes?
Detached retinas in
Yeah.
both of their eyes.
Or blindness
If you
that
had
was
detached retinas in both of your eyes, you would probably be pretty close to blind if you didn't get it repaired.
I,
Um,
that's just a
I
question I had.
yeah, yeah. No, not specifically a medical diagnosis of detached retinas.
Okay.
But I have come across people who have come up positive in the orbits for some reason. And that
Okay.
is very rare. It is very rare,
Okay.
not unheard of. And I am
Okay.
aware of some cases, particularly back in 2010, 11, where there were victims, particularly up in the Michigan area, where they had unknown retinal implants. So that does happen. It's very rare, but not common.
Okay, just a quick question. I just had that question, and I don't want to say anything more because I definitely want you to do a scan of me.
Yeah.
But no,
Don't want to
I
do that
respect
blind.
what you do. Yeah, yeah, no pun intended. I'm blind on one
Yeah.
side, so
Yeah. Okay.
and
See?
that's
So
yeah. I'm looking so forward to seeing you in San Antonio, though. That's gonna be a good meeting, and I would love to meet Dr. Hall. That would be a dream come true too. I respect him so
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I respect both
I
of you.
won't make any promises, but I do know him pretty well.
I think,
I bet you do.
yeah, they would be flying in if we even thought that, I tried to do this.
As far as scheduling, one thing I wanted to ask you too, I've got people that are going to be flying in from Phoenix to San Antonio. And I need to talk to you, Sandra, sometime either later tonight or tomorrow,
Yeah.
maybe. I'll be
Okay.
going back to Austin on Friday, but
Well,
I need to find out the best place for them to stay.
yeah, yes, we're gonna work on that too.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and I've got several from Austin going there too. So
Yeah. Well, when you come home to San Antonio or when you come to Austin, then
yeah, I'll be there Friday. I'll give you a buzz.
okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I
I
know
see
that
John. Hi,
questions.
John. I see John Flynn just came on.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
flag in the background.
Hi, John Flynn.
Hello.
We gotta
Hey,
stop
John, I
meeting
got
like
your
this.
message. I'm sorry, I've been really busy.
Yeah, I don't know if you can
I,
do it anonymously. Just give us a list of the frequencies without the people's names.
we'll talk about that
Yeah.
off schedule because it does pose a danger to
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Well,
It does.
if there are 330 million Americans, and they're confined to 2.4 to 9, that means there's hundreds of thousands of people on every frequency.
That's the carrier wave.
Right.
That's what
So-
the other
so if people are claiming
frequencies are being transmitted on. Yeah, but we'll talk about that offline. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I got my car got purposely rammed today.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's
Yeah.
not cool. There
No,
is
it
a
was not a good
huge
situation.
case in Nassau and Suffolk, Long Island of in staged car accidents. It's enormous.
No, we were driving forward down the road. They put it in reverse and rammed me.
They have
And I was surrounded.
80 people arrested for doing it. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
By the purpose, they're all involved,
So anyhow, not get back on track.
Okay, getting back, any questions? I know you are you open for a few questions and then we can?
Yes, you guys can ask me anything you want. I'm an open book,
Okay.
as you all know. I may not
So
give you
we'll
the
go
answer
with
you
the,
want, but
the
I
last
will
name
take
that-
questions.
We'll start with the last name that begins with A, and we'll go on, so it can be like that. Any last name that begins with A can ask first question. B's?
No, I'm A. I'm A.
Oh, yes. Hey, Abby.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on tonight. I had heard that you are going to be in the Tampa area in February. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay,
The
because I'm in
weekend
that
of the
area.
8th and 9th.
Okay, so February 8th and 9th.
Correct.
I'd like to, is there a particular contact person that I need to be in touch with about
Yeah,
that?
just go to mindnexuslive.com, mindnexuslive.com, fill out the contact information and ask for Desiree and tell her that you spoke to me on the Sandra Williams podcast and that you wanted to secure a spot in the Tampa clinic.
So mindnexuslive.com and
Correct.
talk with, you said Desiree?
Desiree, yeah. Desiree Foley.
Okay. Now, a question that I have regarding the scans. When you get this kind of scan, and I'm still a novice trying to just feel my way through this, what kind of scan would be needed to do the practical work of identifying where a device is so that a surgeon can go in and actually remove it?
The process that I expressed earlier is what others have done. Now we can only attest to the RF scanning portion. The medical portion, we don't practice medicine. We're not a doctor, and we don't want to, get the brakes put on us because of someone accusing us of practicing medicine. You really need to fill in all pieces of the puzzle. Now, the only time that where the surgeon comes into play is after you've done what others have been successful at after doing all of that and getting the medical imagery that corresponds with the findings, then it's still just an unidentified object. But you can then confidently go to a surgeon and say, here is all the data, here are the reports, here is a supporting radiological report that says that there's something there. And I'm having issues. I'm having physiological issues. It is causing my life difficulty, and I can't function normally. So this is medically necessary to have removed. And once you have that, then a surgeon will do the surgery on those, at least in all the cases that I'm mentioning.
Okay, thank you.
Next person, last name B.
As far as the implants, the foreign bodies, as you say,
I didn't hear you. Lynn. Wait,
Is that
you ask
John?
again?
There's no audio now.
Last name E, beginning with, did I skip C? D, I gotta remember my alphabet. Last name starts with B. E, F. Plan is F. Any questions? G?
Sandy, I think I missed my turn. I'm sorry. I'm a D.
Go ahead, Bernard. Oh, yeah, you're in. You're in. Go ahead, Bernard.
Yes, my name is Renard, and I wanted to ask, is there any, Jesse, have you met people who didn't have implants but were still being neurologically surveilled?
That's a hard question to answer. Because what I can say is there's a high preponderance of people who are having this auditory phenomenon that are coming up positive. There's a direct correlation for some reason between that symptom and coming up positive on RF and nonlinear junction scans.
Okay, yeah, because I was just wondering. I think I do have implants because I'm ex-military and I was injected with the anthrax supposed vaccine for anthrax, and I'm sure I probably was implanted at some point, with a needle. I even had an experience where I went to jail and I hadn't been convicted of anything, but yet they still stuck a needle in me and said that they had to get DNA out in San Bernardino.
That's interesting.
And when I left that experience from that jail experience after they dismissed those charges, I was actually really sick when I got out of jail. And I just feel like ever since then, that's when they were doing some extreme sort of stalking.
So stalking the predominant thing that you experience?
Yeah, definitely the stalking, and I get a lot of energy weapon attacks at night in bed. They hit my legs a lot.
Okay. Yeah. 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 There's a lot of unanswered questions in that scenario, but we probably don't have enough time to go into that. But to answer your question, for whatever reason, there is a direct correlation in people coming up positive on the RF scans and having this auditory phenomenon.
Okay, and can I just get the information?
In my experience, yeah.
Can I get the information for your Tampa conference, Tampa?
Yeah, if you'll just go to mindnexuslive.com and fill out the form, say you were on the Senator Williams show and podcast, and ask for Desiree and say you would like to secure a spot in Tampa. It's filling up fast, so if you guys are interested, I would do it sooner than later. And that's the issue. We're filling up so fast. Pretty soon we're going to be a year out on scans within a month or two.
All right, thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
Great question, Renard. Next person, I think we were on FG.
I'm F. Can I ask Bernard a question? What was that Hillsborough County sheriff that arrested you?
No, I was arrested by Chino Hills Police in California, and this happened in San Bernardino County Jail.
Okay.
In 2012.
Oh, okay. I've had some run-ins with the guy in Hillsborough County, Tampa.
Yeah, I was never arrested in Florida. This was in California.
Okay, sorry.
John, I'm in the Tampa Bay area, and I do Hillsborough County Police. If we could connect, and I'd like to hear anything you have to say about that.
I can't hear. Is someone speaking? I can't hear you. Next person that wants to ask the question, last name 8. We don't have that many people on here. So if you want to ask a question, I see Deborah, you're very active in the chat. If you can come on and ask the question, Deborah. In the chat. No more questions? Well,
hey, this is Sherry. Did someone come on?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the questions I had was if you had an initial scan, a nonlinear junction scan, and you found some implants, and you did find during the scan that they had missed a couple that you knew for a fact that you had in a certain area, and then they went back to scan you, and then they actually did find it where you actually had suspected. That makes me think that there could be quite more in people. And have you found that lately? I mean, have you found that to be the case?
Most generally not. Remember, we're testing for active, and there's a very specific pattern depending on which of the 3 categories you fall in. Now, recently we have, well, I don't want to jump away from your question. So the question lies is, yes, did it get missed? That's always a possibility. But if after the scan is completed and you say, hey, can you please double check this area? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just being thorough. And I encourage people to do that. If you know, we only come up positive in certain areas, now, you know, there is always that possibility. So always point it out, and then we can really, really hone in on that region to determine whether or not we're detecting an emission around that area or not. Now, nonetheless, so you remember some of this technology is active and passive, because we only test for active. Now, in the nonlinear junction scan, that should not be happening if it's done correctly, because that will send out an echo to activate that device if it is an electronic device. Now, if it's just metal, and you don't know you have metal in your body for some reason, maybe as a child you fell and you stepped on a nail and maybe a part of it broke off in you, you know, that's also going to come up positive. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be emitting a frequency. That's where you get these corrosive readings. The readings that make sense that you want to pay attention to are the readings that you not only get corrosive, but you're also detecting a frequency. That's what's important.
Well, I do know that I'm sorry, one other one other comment and one other question.
Am I going to be scanning you in the near future?
Yes, you are.
Then don't tell me.
No, well, I'm not going to tell you where, but I did have
Okay.
one that was 70% corrosive, and then one that was placed on top of it that was newer because it didn't have any corrosiveness at all. And where do you find that the chips that have been implanted, at what point of corrosiveness does it create an atmosphere for tumor cells or tumor?
That's a medical question, so I can't answer that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then the other one was the point where if you're getting scanned and you know that you've discovered that you have them, and you know that you've had like MRIs and CT scans, and you've requested your documentation, and they're not giving it to you. They give you the written report, but they won't give you the scan, like the disc that you've had.
That is your property. You have every right to obtain that. And if they're withholding that, that's an issue. You're going to have to get someone like John, who's very talented at writing briefs and these types of summons. You're going to want to have someone like that behind your back, or a legal professional like an attorney, who specializes in that type of law.
And if they were to have signed off on it, knowing that, and you could actually see them, because obviously you know they're there, of things that have you been able to find on that point where maybe they now are, you know, I guess liable? I mean, I know this is legal, but have you been able to get old reports of CT scans and MRI scans and then see them, and they never were, you know, admitted into evidence of any sort?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Can you rephrase it a little bit? Just froze up.
To find people who've had CT scans and MRIs, and then they just finally find out that they're implanted through the nonlinear junction scans.
You cut out and you froze, so I didn't hear. Yeah.
Well, it's basically, did you find that
you froze again?
Other people have had MRIs and CT scans and was never aware of them getting.
I can't.
Any
You're
type
freezing,
of evidence.
and so the transmission is not coming through.
Well, this is what happens when you get a new cable company to come in with it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, she's saying too that
fiber optics.
a person can go in for an MRI and then finding out that they have some chips in them, you know. So
in the MRI scan, they're not saying chips. They're probably saying another term. I would be surprised if they said chips.
Yeah, I messed up and said that. Yes.
Oh, well, they would say not like foreign object, right?
They would say UBO or foreign objects. Usually it's foreign object. That's the mainstream.
Well, on my written report, it said no foreign objects with a signed doctor's signature.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you are doubting the reading and you can obtain the medical imagery, that's the key. I would be suspect as to why they're not releasing the medical imagery. Because here's what you can do. Once you have that medical imagery, you can always get a second opinion on the report. There are a lot of radiologists out there, and some of them who teach radiology themselves, that will, for a fee, they will reread those studies.
Thank you. I'm done. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
So I don't know if this is a question to ask, but how can we use this reports? And if we do have imagery and we find out that we do have more body, and without our knowledge or consent, can we use this in court?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. That's why these cases are moving through. It's because it's, you know, how do you defend yourself, or defend a case where they've got something tangible in your hand and you can identify who made it. A lot of these will have some form of either a digital footprint, digital serial number. You can always trace it back to the patent, who manufactures them. And then you just have to go through that long, tedious process of working through the legal system and forcing those corporations to release who they sold them to. And that's how you ultimately get to the main perpetrators that you're after. And in the cases that are pending, a lot of these have some affiliation with the Department of Defense.
Can we have access to the pending case, or is that?
Can't hear you. Right?
Like the pending case that you know about, can we learn?
Well, you know, we're very cautious now because, you know, we weren't as cautious in the beginning of this year. And what was happening is technicians were being tricked into disclosing the names of the plaintiffs.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden there's these random attorneys that start harassing the plaintiff and trying to obtain, how did you get your lawsuit through the system? And now and because of this, it could have destroyed 15 years worth of work. And in particular, this particular case and where this happened, there's a gag order on the case. And if the plaintiff did not heed the warnings of not to disclose this because all your work would be gone, we would have been in trouble. And so now we're very, very cautious about that because everyone's wanting access to this. And we tell them, go through the process. When you've gone through every step and you have not only gone through all of these scans, toxicology reports, the medical imagery, which you have supporting documentation there, then you're ready to see someone who can extract these and excise these and then further go through the process to get them analyzed. You want to have these things analyzed under photomicroscopy. Oh gosh, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. Microscopy, in order to dig down deep into what these materials are within these objects that are being pulled out of you.
So, are we able to use? Well, I guess it makes sense for everything to be kind of low key because of the abuse that's going to happen. Are we able to use the same doctors or the same team of someone who's already been through this, the pending cases once their cases?
Absolutely, absolutely. These doctors are heroes. They're putting their neck out there. We've had some doctors already, for whatever reason, attorney generals in that particular state had went after their licenses because they did this. Because these court cases wouldn't be before our justice system if it wasn't for these doctors being heroes.
Yes. Yeah, we applaud them. We applaud everybody
Yeah.
that's standing for the fight, you know, in the medical field because it's, I'm in the medical field and he is RN, having worked because of program that saw all the crimes, and the just blatant crime, blatant lies, blatant loss, blatant losing records. I mean, just in my face. So, um, you know, under attack. But just, I won't shut up. So I'm not going to be quiet about this. And of course, I'm suffering through this program. But I see I see the light at the end of the tunnel because of all of this. Just what you're doing, your team, everybody here, we are fighting. We are fighters, and we have the same thing in mind: keep them down. That's take all this out of us, or if there's anything, get better, get off this program, and then take them down as we get better. And I guess I'll ask if anyone wanted to ask any more questions, and I'll go to the chat.
Hi, Sandy. This is
Hi,
Jessie Riley.
I didn't go down the alphabet, you know, how my mind. Get in when you finish.
I do.
Yes,
Can you hear
ma'am.
me?
Can you hear me clearly?
I hear two people talking. Jesse came on first. Deborah, can you wait for a minute? Next.
Sure. Happy to wait. Yes.
Thanks, Deborah.
I'm so sorry. Hi, Sandy. I wanted to ask Jessie a question in regards to the chips.
Sure.
Hi, Jessie. Yes, I wanted to know, any of the patients that you have happened to remove their chips, have they maybe said anything about any relief or any relief that they may have had after the chip removal?
Well, number one, when you say patients, I see clients.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I see clients. But those clients who have been successful in removing these foreign bodies, which were determined to be biosensors or RFID implants, in the cases where the neurologist has removed those specific foreign bodies, they did get relief. Now, in the cases where they haven't been able to get to the neurosurgeon, they have had implants removed, but because of the specific areas that need to be addressed, still have at least the auditory symptom. So it's like I said, I'm walking a fine line here, but that is important to do.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Jesse Beltran.
Mm-hmm.
I will make sure to follow up with your YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah. Deborah?
Hi, Jesse. Thank you so much. Welcome. This is Deborah. I also am a medical background and a scientist, and so I've done extensive research. I'm excited to have my scan. I'll be there with Sandra. So when I was doing research last night, I know we can't talk about the medical stuff, which is great because you need to keep it, confidential. But what I found was a trick of neurolingual programming, I think. So I just moved, had this wild time with moving, and people kept popping up named Alexis or would say the word Alexis. And I just told Sandra earlier this week, it's about, they're trying to get you to get a car, Alexis, because that's what I thought. Not being from the, military, not knowing any of this. So, and even when I changed my car insurance over to Texas, they put a driver on there, Alexis. I'm like, what? There wasn't. It's my car. But anyway, so then I was researching last night, and you were talking about Aaron Alexis, and I was like, oh my God, is that something that I should be aware of? Is this a neurolingual programming code? What does that mean?
Well, there's two possibilities here. So neurolinguistic programming talks about utilizing these little techniques. Like I say, well, if you meet someone for the first time and you notice a special mannerism or characteristic about them, and they have beautiful eyes. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. But what am I really saying? Do you have beautiful eyes or do you have beautiful eyes? The same thing with Texas or Lexus, right? But I can embed that because it completely bypasses your conscious mind and goes directly into your subconscious mind. And when you do that, you can affect an immediate result. So, for example, when I talk about the military contractors in Virginia, when I took the most intimidating person and brought him into the middle of the room, and all I did was have a conversation because I'm trained and I know what to do. And if I wanted to be malicious, I could do it very covertly, but I won't. It's unethical. But in this circumstance, it was important to get everyone to understand if you have a certain suggestibility and someone behind the mic, because isn't your voice just a frequency, right? Everything is a frequency. We're surrounded by them. If you know how to use it in the right way, you can get someone to do something that they wouldn't maybe normally do, only because they're susceptible to high suggestibility or influence, or they're put in a situation of stress. There's a reason why most of the victims, predominantly that become part of this program, are recently single, widowed, or divorced. When you're going through a divorce, how stressful is that? If you're widowed, how stressful is that? All these things are by design. So it's important. This is why I preach to everyone. It's important for you to understand your inner voice, your moral compass. And if you are, even without this tech, highly suggestible, it's important that you work on that so you understand how to really subconsciously program the utilization of your critical thinking factors, when to use them, and so that you can always have these checks and balances. And so you're going to make better and better decisions for your life, and your life is going to be readily and easily become more towards the normal plane, because just by the mere factor that you're doing these behaviors and exercising these things subconsciously. So whether or not you have beautiful eyes or beautiful lies, that's really what we're getting to.
Wow, that's amazing because, I thought I was outside of that. So I think Sandra can attest to it. I mean, I bow to God and God alone. I spend time with God and the Holy Spirit every day. And so I'm very ethical. I follow, I just didn't think I was in that loop of where they'd even try. And then with the move, and, moving has a level of stress. And they definitely have played on that. But I was actually shocked last night to hear it and then to put it together. And I thought I'll have to ask you. And I believe that they have now implanted an Alexis in Sandra's life right now. And so, because we were just talking about it, I just told her earlier this week that, oh, yeah, it's about the Lexus car. That's how clueless I was. But I think I'm not suggestible at all because I bow to God. And oh, no, I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not suggestible at all because I bow to God and God alone. But why was this being played on me?
Well, I can say this. Yeah, I can say this.
She's saying.
What she's saying is that these embedded commands can be hidden within words that you would normally use in everyday human communication.
Right. So she's saying.
And I was taking that, but funny thing, before I moved, there were always Lexus around and there would be them. And of course, I didn't get it at all. I didn't get anything until last night researching and watching one of Jesse on a program. So, no, what I'm saying is they're using the name Alexis. And because of watching.
Spell it.
It's the name of the Navy shooter. It's the name of the Navy shooter. That's how they're spelling it. Aaron Alexis.
Okay, spell it.
Alexis.
Okay.
And that's the spelling they're using. And I wasn't getting it, but apparently, and, I will get into more, private training or what I need to with Jesse, because I believe I am not suggestible. I'm very God serving and God centered, but why are they using this? That's the thing. Even putting it on my car insurance, that's public, so wow.
So I will caution you about this. Even being very religious can make you even more susceptible to this. Because really, if you look at the algorithms, behaviors, what you want to call them, rituals or ceremonies, mantras, that's putting you into an altered state. And when you're in an altered state, you're now talking to the subconscious mind. And this is by design. I will say this, and I found this very intriguing at the College of Hypnotherapy that I went to, and was the first accredited national hypnotherapist school in the United States. Interestingly enough, you had religious leaders there. You had FBI agents there. You had CIA agents there. You had attorneys, politicians. And I always questioned why. You know, I found that very interesting. But even being very religious can make you, or a religious person, if you enter into these meditative states, that's when you become vulnerable. But it's not to say that you can't defend against it. I believe, although Duncan and I would debate against this, Robert Duncan, is that you can create a human firewall. You can create a firewall for your brain. But awareness is the first step to begin that journey.
Right. But I also understand, as a scientist in critical thinking, I need to study hypnotherapy with you and maybe get that training, because they're trying something. And I was so unaware of it, so clueless for years, until I watched your thing last night and I went, oh. And then just now with, I mean, it's a code word that I didn't get.
I would just not worry about it. Block it out. I would definitely I would look at Dr. Richard Bandler and Granger's book on NLP. I would read that and study it backwards and forwards, because what you're experiencing are what's called a setting of an anchor, and then firing off that anchor with triggers. And it is by design to get a specific behavior out of you subconsciously.
Wow.
How many times? Well, you think about Pavlov's dog theory. I'm sure you're familiar with that, right?
Very much so.
Pretty soon, all they had to do was ring the bell, and the dogs would start to salivate. This is no difference.
Okay,
who's that? Do you have a smart meter on your house? May I ask? Do you have a smart meter?
Are you asking for a meter? So I have, I'm currently in a hotel because I've had wild stuff moving.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, and I have 2 Cyber Shield.
Do you wake up from 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning ever?
Yes, but I have 2 Cyber Shields. So I am testing for 3 years now neuroscience research and development devices, and that makes a huge difference.
So how many people are leasing your biometric sphere? Do you know?
Well, when I got the Up phone, which this is an unplugged Up phone, AT&T made it enhanced, and there were multiple ones.
How many?
I fired them.
No, how many people are leasing your frequency?
Oh, how many are leasing? Who's asking this?
I'm Johnny Flynn. I'm asking because I'm counting the numbers, and some people have 2,000 companies leasing their frequency, and it turns out they're most vulnerable from 2 to 3 a.m. and they're unaware. And if you're sleeping in a hotel, you have no protection. Zero.
Well, I have the Cyber Shield right next to me. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that is.
How many? What's the RF radiation in the room where you're staying?
So I measure everything. And are you familiar with the Cyber Shield?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Deborah, I can relate to what you were saying too about the electric. Remember, I brought the game up again. We both were like,
Yeah, there's somebody, they're doing it to you too, that
Yeah.
same.
Well, I have to let Alexis after the show today, which it's something about her. I was telling Deborah, I said, there's this, I'm involved with the Martin Luther King March that's happening in January. And now we have a new team lead, and her name is Alexis. And so that's when she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. And I said, there's something about her. And when I heard the name, so I understand that because mine is Jason. When I hear Jason, when the new realtor is Jason, the guy at the store, who's gonna help you, his name is Jason. So they all say it big or whatever. So I'm relating to what
Can I interject something? So there's
Okay.
this phenomena. I drive, what color car do you drive?
Yeah, I know. We know the
What color?
Great.
You don't tell me the model of the car, just tell me the color car you drive. Or you wish to drive.
I have gray.
Gray, okay. So you had a red car before your gray car. And you buy this new gray car, a specific model, specific size. You love all these things to it. Your emotions are now anchored to it. You feel good when you're driving it, hopefully. And then when you're driving down the road, oh, there's a gray car just like mine. There's another one. Oh, I'm driving to the parking lot. Oh, look at that one. It's parked. It's just like mine. The brain does this quite naturally and very easily and readily. And so we have to be careful that you're not falling victim to that phenomenon.
Yeah.
And so it's always best to use your autonomy and say it's separate, it's not related. And if you start there, you're putting yourself on the path of where you're going to be less influenced in the future. And so it's important that everyone is aware of that. It's no difference. You get a yellow car, and now all of a sudden you start recognizing yellow cars, specific shape and patterns. This is the same phenomenon. We do this with words. We do this with all kinds of things. You wear a favorite shirt, favorite color. Then you start to notice everyone wearing that shirt and that favorite color because you're emotionally attached to it or you're negatively attached to it. It works both ways.
Right there, so we can say
Can't
that
hear
is
you.
separate and it's not related. That's separate and it's not related. I'm gonna go.
Correct. It's separate and not related.
Separate. Okay, so I'm gonna read some of the chat. Okay, it says, are you there, Deborah? Okay, hello, Sandra. Hello. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Pastor Millicent. She's here. Hello, everyone. Let me go back. Any questions while I'm going through the chat? I can't see them. My eyes are being attacked. Hi, John. Oh, what's the name of the author of the NLP
The
book?
book is Dr. Richard Bandler and Granger. They're the co-founders and creators of neurolinguistic programming.
Richard Granger?
Richard Bandler and Granger.
Probably type it up and find it. Bandler and Granger.
And they have many, many books out. Changing Frogs to Princesses, the NLP Mastery. But if you really want to learn how to start understanding how the human mind works, how human physiology works related to these types of influences, it is the Bible that you should get. With context to what we're talking about. I don't want to offend anyone about the religious Bible. This is just NLP Bible is how I would describe it.
Okay. Also, that is Charles. Hi, Charles. How can I make an appointment in Tampa? And he said to go on mynexus.com, mynexuslive.com. I'll put that in there, and then also ask for Desiree. And tell her that
Desiree,
you
yes.
were on my show. You saw Jesse on the I Shall Bloom show, Sandra Williams, and he'll get you set up. I'll put that in here. Mine live.com. Then ask for Desiree.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Let me go. Keep going. Let me.
Yeah, and also there's, I think DC is filled up, but North Carolina is filling up quickly too. But North Carolina will be there January, the weekend of the 25th there in North Carolina in Charleston.
North Carolina. Yes, I think that's what
Yeah,
Lauren.
Lauren, yes.
Lauren Birch. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Lauren Birch, yeah. And that one's filling up quite quick too.
A lot of people want to come here because they want John Hall, of course, but we have the Riverwalk. So it's famous, the Riverwalk. So people have everybody here to walk the river. I am being contacted by someone other than Desiree. That's Sandrina. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Sandra.
Okay, so just so you know,
Hi.
Desiree and Desiree Foley and Mike Grady, you'll see Mike Grady on our website.
Okay.
If you're being contacted by any of those two, you can guarantee that they have my blessing.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Let me keep going as we.
What's the exact title of the book by Dr. Richard Bandler and Granger?
There are so many of them, but I would just look at NLP Mastery.
NLP Mastery. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what you want me to start. Okay, I'm on it. I love to read.
Yep.
So this
That's
okay. Yeah, but this is thank you so much, Jesse. I had no idea until watching you last night that this was even a thing and that they were trying this thing on me. I mean, I knew about neurolingual programming in other aspects, but this one, wow. And now they're doing it on Sandra too, as she mentioned. So I'll just let her, So they're up to something.
Yeah, I would read the book and then try to decipher. I would peel the banana back first and start from being grounded and start from it's not related and separate so I can keep my autonomy and my critical thinking factors in check.
Okay, not related and separate. So anything and everything
Yep.
is not related and separate. Okay.
Yeah, until proven otherwise. And proving, that means it's in your face without a doubt. You have no questions. You have absolute proof. Okay, because a lot of people interpret proof differently, but really, proof is you've got it in your hand. You have the smoking gun.
I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I understand perception, but they put this on my car insurance as a driver. That's in writing. So
In writing on your car insurance? Wow.
yeah.
That is interesting. That is interesting. But yeah, I would look for other alternatives first.
Okay, I certainly will.
Okay. Okay.
I'm certainly will. I'd rather find positive always.
Put on your scientific hat. Put on that science hat.
What was your question?
Oh, he said put on
No,
the
I
hat.
just said put on that scientific
Oh,
hat.
yeah, I love that analytical and critical thinking. That's what last night got me. I had already discounted it. It was like nothing. It wasn't tied to me. It wasn't linked to me. And then when I watched you last night, I went, "Oh, that was that guy's name." Oh,
Yeah.
oh, weird.
But you're
Okay.
already hyper vigilant to that word.
I was because it keeps being said around me. So, and I thought they were talking about buy Alexa's car. I had no clue, but now I get what you're saying.
Okay.
That, yeah, I need to study this and NLP mastery. I'm all over it. Analytical and critical thinking. Here I go.
There you go. Good for
Thank you much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, well, if there aren't any questions, any more questions, we are.
I think Sherry's been raising her hand.
Well, I was
Oh,
just
look
wanting
at Jerry.
Jesse if you hi. I was wanting Jesse to, touch base on what he was saying on the targeted you Twitter space. I had him the last couple of Sundays, and we had a licensed psychotherapist or licensed clinical psychologist And I'm thinking that I'm hoping, I'm praying that she's going to play a big role with Jesse in helping us with, the whole, you know.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with her today, and wow, thank you so much. She is going to be a blessing for the community in so many ways. Now, she's grounded, and it's very rare that you find a doctor of psychology so grounded. She's has an open mind. She's willing to use those critical thinking factors. She's willing to independently, non-biasedly come in and do an evaluation for people with care in mind for what the end result should be. And the end result is that it puts you in a better place, a safer place, whether it's this phenomenon or, if it has something to do with the mental process. You couldn't have a more perfect person to do that with. And raising your vibration, I tell everyone all the time, if you ever get the opportunity to attend one of our clinics, it is life-changing. You're looking at them right here. My first clinic, I was the leader. I went in, okay, I'm going to participate only because I'm the leader and I have to show engagement. But I never expected what I came out with. And always keeping your open mind, willing to try and understand other perspectives is how we grow. And the nice thing about how when you grow or you experience change, you are immediately and always from that moment forward a different aspect of you, because you can never go back to who you were. You can only go to who you're going to be. And that's what's so important. Continue to raise that vibration so you continue to grow and you're less affected, regardless of whatever comes at you. Some of us have been dealing with this stuff. I've got clients who are in their 80s, 90s, have been dealing with this. So we know this phenomenon goes back quite some time. But the beginning to changing the word of being a victim is very important. Changing the word TI is very important, leaving that behind you, and changing the word to what do I want to experience and who do I want to be in the future is absolutely the most important aspect of you that you have to identify with. That's why important. I encourage everyone, please, please. We are so blessed to have her. And I thank you so much, Sherry, for making that connection.
Okay, I see Rita and Jennifer. I think Rita's hand was up first. And please forgive me if that's not the right order. If you want to go ahead and ask your question with Rita.
Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Rita. How are you?
I'm good. I was able to get a hold of Gaji, and she and I are going to discuss moving my scan to DC instead of North Carolina since I live here. And I was wondering, is it okay for me to train here in DC instead of North Carolina?
Well, the training issue, I didn't think we nailed that down yet.
Okay.
Our attorney and our leaders that are guiding us are encouraging us to make sure that we're training people outside of the TI phenomenon. And
Okay.
there are some specific reasons. We just encountered something that, I can't really discuss here with related to frequencies because it could taint some of the testing moving forward. So we want to make sure that we follow their direction.
Right. And I had my own concerns about that as well. Because until you actually get everything removed, you can't be 100% sure that you're not tainting the results. So I understand.
There's a way to verify it if under certain circumstances, but for the most part, moving forward, we're only going to train people right now who are not part of this phenomenon.
Okay.
So they can stay objective.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, hopefully in the near future, we'll get resolution to that, and then we can definitely get you on board.
I plan on removing all of them anyways, whatever it takes to just get them out of my body. So hopefully at some point that won't be a factor. But so what I am doing is moving my scan from North Carolina to DC just because I can avoid hotel and airfare. And then you and I can chat offline.
I thought that was full, but if she's got a spot for you, by all means.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And I also have a lawsuit where I might need your help in terms of testimony. So I'll discuss that with you in DC.
Okay, like I said, if everything's in line, then yeah, I'm on board. But if it's not, I'm not on board.
Right, I understand. And so it might be one of those
Okay.
things where you might give your testimony and we may ask for additional time in terms of discovery so that I can actually move forward with the next steps after scanning. So
Mhm.
I
So
understand.
be cautious about making presumptions that you're going to include me. You need to ask me first in
Okay.
private.
Okay. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, you're going to be in DC, right?
Right.
We'll chat there.
Okay, sounds good. And are you
Okay.
scanning both days, Saturday and Sunday there?
I believe it's full. That's what I was told. So yeah, I'll be there. Actually, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there for at least those 2 days.
Okay.
I just got an invitation to attend swearing in of Trump. So I'm actually gonna probably be there until at least then.
Okay. You're staying for inauguration. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate your
No, I'll
time.
actually be at the inauguration.
Okay, great.
Hmm.
And thanks for hosting, Sandy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Jennifer, you want to come off mute? Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. Yes. Hi, Sandy. Hello, Jesse. Thank you so
Hello.
much for being here. My name is Jennifer, and my question is, I heard you state that you have scannings and you have clinics. Are those two separate events that you hold?
So the clinics are composed of the scanning. What you may be talking about is one-on-ones, and that's something different. I do have certain individuals who, for whatever reason, professional status, status within the community, want to just remain silent about what they're going through. And so they will schedule a one-on-one with me, and that's a totally different process.
Okay.
Is that what you're referring to?
I actually, possibly, I could be using the wrong word. It was a few minutes ago when you were speaking about if you ever get a chance to participate in a clinic, that it was really good to be active in the lessons that you were teaching. So something similar to that.
I'm sorry, I don't. It's not triggering
Okay.
a concept for me. In our scanning clinics, basically what we do, the traditional what I've said over, we'll do the RF scan frequency counter. We videotape everything. We write a written report. All that is given to you, and I will testify to the results of the RF scan. That's one thing. The one thing I am going to be showing everyone is for those of you who are hearing that modulated signal, that means that high pitch whine that really doesn't allow you to rest. We're going to teach you how to block that out if you're experiencing that. And I have to do it in front of you because it's just everyone's a little bit different. And so you have to make slight adjustments to the software in order to block out that modulated signal. It will literally disappear within seconds. And as long as you have noise canceling ambient aware technology in your ears, in the form of earbuds that you can sleep in, then you're going to be on a road to better sleep, to less fatigue, more cognitive clarity, this is what everyone is starting to say that have gone through this. And Bonnie Kellerby is one. She had been suffering for 21 years. The minute we put it on her, she was in tears. For the first time, it was gone. Her husband was hating me because he could hear it because she wasn't wearing the headphones that I suggested. But eventually they got them, and now they can live in copacetically with each other. But I will teach everyone that. And then, any questions that anyone has that we don't typically ask on these formats or platforms, then you can ask me, and then I will be as sincere as possible and transparent as possible to help you through that. Hopefully get you your answer.
Thank you. That was beautiful to hear what you just shared about the software. I guess I should ask you, what is your website? That way I could possibly find any information that I need.
It's Mind, MIND, Nexus, NEXUS, live, LIVE.com.
And it's in the chat too, Jennifer.
Yeah. I also want to share with everyone, I need to start disseminating. I'm getting a lot of calls at the hypnotherapy office. If you inquire about RF scanning or targeting or anything like that, completely inappropriate for them to respond to, and you won't get a response there. So I need to start spreading that out because I'm getting complaints that a lot of these calls are coming in there. And it's not a shortcut. I guarantee you, if you do that, you're probably going to go down to the bottom of the list of us contacting you, because I've been very astute. We've disseminated. If you want information, please go to the Mind Nexus Live, not the hypnotherapy. Now, if you want hypnotherapy, that's fine, but it can't be about targeting. It can't be about implants, because it could cause a lot of trouble, and it could get me decertified.
Because we're desperate. Some of us, you know what I mean. We want you. We find out that there's someone out there that can help. Thank you for saying
Yeah, but
that.
just know I'm not being. It's not that I'm not being empathetic. It's just that I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just can't. It's a different hat. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for coming too. Your voice is so peaceful and so I don't know what, relieving. That there's someone out there that still believes and wants the same thing.
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm part of this too. This is it's personal.
Yeah. Even if John Hall doesn't show up here, you show up. I mean, it's still going to be just a blessing. Do you know what I mean? So I look forward to meeting you next month, February 22nd and 23rd. And any other, we're going to end now because I have to go to another show. But if there's any other questions or anything you want to leave us with that we can, because it's been so peaceful. I sit around you every day,
Well, thank you. It probably goes back to my paramedic days. My whole training is to calm a situation down, not add fuel to the fire. It's important to find answers and solutions. And the only way we're going to do that is to support each other. Stop playing the games. Stop trying to manipulate, because it's very evident when someone does that. And it's important that we love and build each other up. Don't tear us down. If we, and this is the part that, again, of keeping your autonomy, keeping your critical thinking factors. The critical thinking factors is, if someone's trying to tear you down, that should be a red flag. And what happens when you surround yourself in an environment that is pure, loving, supportive? You build, you raise your vibration. You start to experience less and less of the negativity. And you experience the love more and more tenfold, exponentially. Two types of people in the world: those who are selfish, they only love themselves, They're only in it for themselves. So therefore, the love stops there. When you're selfless and you care about everyone else and you build them up, the love comes back exponentially, not only in the form of that love and support, but in the form of opportunities, in the form of limited resources, because now we're working as a community for one common goal. And that's to find peace for all of us.
That was beautiful. Yeah. That's it. That's the love that brings the glue is love, and it brings God is love, and it brings us all together, especially working the same goals, no fighting, because we all want peace. We all want peace. We all want that. And so I thank you for what you're doing, your team. If I can help in any way, I will. I'm there.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Yes. So any other questions, anyone?
Yes, Sandra. Sandra, this is Renard. I had a question. I just wanted to ask Jesse, does he think we'll be getting any help from President Trump?
I'll tell you what, we're going to get a lot more help than this last administration did.
Yeah. So I know you said you're going to be a part of that. We want to know.
I got invited to the inauguration. So actually all of us did it. My staff did.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate.
Yeah. We'll be looking forward to, having you come back again so we can ask questions about the inauguration and meeting Trump possibly, you know what I mean? And bringing this information to him.
Great. So. You keep your positivity. I love your energy.
Thank you.
I'll come on your show anytime.
Thank you. All righty then. Again,
okay. Everyone take care.
Yes. Again, my name is Sandra. I'm the host of the I Shall Bloom Show. I can be reached at sandra@ishallbloom.com. Also, my website is ishallbloom.com. Targeted. My website and show is I Shall Bloom Talk Show on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, because you never want to miss my premiere episode. And remember, I shall bloom, you shall bloom.
God bless. Take care.
Bless. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye now.
Yeah. From the direct,
I know. But you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'm looking forward to you posting.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely give you a thumbs up, and I subscribe to your channel.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome, girlie. You enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.